Hello, friends, and welcome back to a new lesson. Yes, I want to say thank you for joining me one more time. And I hope that you are staying warm on this chilly morning. That's right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, okay? Here is an activity that I want you to focus on before we actually begin. So what I need you to do is I need you to write a few details about this picture. Whatever, three, four, five, just a few details about the picture, okay? So just pause the video and write down a few details, four or five, about the picture in front of you. Okay, I hope you finished, or you can always just come back, or you can pause the video a little longer. Okay, and we will come back to this picture at a later time. Okay, so this brings us to our topic for today, and today we are going to be looking at text structure. That's right, and the specific topic is compare and contrast. And as usual, this lesson is aligned to the Edge curriculum. Now, compare and contrast is one of my very favorite um, strategies, I guess, reading strategies, or that a person can use. I love to compare and contrast things. I'm usually doing it for whatever reason, and I'm sure that you are too. Just that sometimes we are not aware that we do that, but it's a wonderful skill to have. And this brings us, friends, to our clear learning target. I can define the terms, compare and contrast. I can use key vocabulary and a Venn diagram to compare and contrast. So let me go ahead and make a parenthesis right here and say that that is going to be our final objective. That's what we're trying to accomplish. We're at the end. We are going to read, or you, or my friends, are going to read a passage, and you are going to use a Venn diagram to compare and contrast um, after reading the passage. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue with this. So here we go. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to look at the definition. Yeah, we always have to begin from the beginning. That's right. So um, now before I go into the specific definitions, I have to say that, um, to compare and contrast is to compare and contrast anything and everything under the sun and outside of our solar system as well. So I can compare characters, the same character. I can compare the character from the moment the character began, the story, and how the character was transformed at the end of the story. Okay, so if I'm looking at Spider Man, I can compare him before he became Spider-Man, and I can compare him after he was bitten by the spider and became Spider-Man, right? So I can compare the same character, or I can compare different characters from different books or different movies. I can compare Batman and Superman, right? So totally different comics or movies. I can compare those two. I can also compare elements in the in chemistry, or balls, or so there's so many things that we can use to compare and contrast, and all we're doing is looking for similarities and differences in whatever is it that we decide to compare and contrast. And again, this can be from an observational point, it can be also from a reading. Okay, so many things, or writing as well. Yeah. Okay, so when you compare, you compare something, you tell how they are this similar, alike, or the same. Okay, so for example, I have here limes and I have oranges. So if I was going to say how they alike or similar or the same, I'm going to say that they are both citruses. Yes. And as you notice, I use the word both. Didn't you notice that? Okay, so that brings us to our transitional words. that we use when we compare. Okay. And friends, you will notice that both is one of them. That's right. Now we use these words when we are reading. We use these words to find similarities. Okay. When the author is comparing something, most times they will use one of these clue words. Okay. Or also when you are writing, yes, when you're writing a compare and contrast, or when you're writing comparing something, you will use these transitional words. And when you're talking, like I just did a minute ago, right? So you see, these words are very, very, very handy and useful. And we use them all the time, actually. You probably don't realize it or haven't noticed it, but now you probably become a little more aware of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice our diction. Similar to, similarly, in the same way, each of, just as, so, like, equally, again, also, to, both. Very nice. So here we have a passage that I found. I did not write it and I did not alter it in any way of shape or form. So I just borrowed it from the internet. And it is about what? Yes, it is about cats and dogs, right? So all we're going to do is we are going to read it, and then we are going to compare cats and dogs. That's right. Okay. So I'm going to read it first, and then I want you to pause the video to um to read it as well. Okay. You can repeat after me if you want to. You can read with me. Totally up to you. But I'm just going to go ahead and read it slowly, pausing after every sentence, and then if you want to, just pause the video and go back and read it one more time. Okay. Excellent. Dogs and cats are alike in several ways. Both dogs and cats have similar purposes in a household. They provide friendship to their owners and often come to be like a part of the person's family. Dogs and cats also both have similar sleeping patterns. Dogs and cats can both be found napping throughout the day, but also still find themselves to be sleepy at night. The third way in which dogs and cats are similar is in the way they look. Both animals are relatively small with four legs and a tail. So again, friends, just pause the video, take a moment to read it one more time, and then we will see if we can find some of those transitional words, okay? Actually, while you are at it, how about you highlight or underline or circle the transitional words that you find, okay? Beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the first sentence. Did you see one there? Yeah, me too. I saw one right there. Alike. How about this second sentence? Both dogs and cats have similar purposes in the household. Uh-huh, they got actually two of them. That is correct. Okay, how about the next one? Do you see one? Yes and no, right? So let's go ahead and move on to the next sentence. Yep, we have also, and we have similar, and we also have, I didn't highlight it, but let's see if you can find it. Yes, both. It's right there. Dogs and cats also both have similar. Very good. Yes. Love it? More? Yes. Okay. Yes, we got both right here. And we got also right here, yes, and similar, and both. This writer loved those three transitional words. Uh, four, actually. Yes. Okay, so let's keep going, okay? Now we are going to look at the term contrast. So when we compare and contrast, we're actually looking to tell how they are different. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my lime and my orange, and I'm going to say that limes are sour while oranges are sweet. right? So you see, I'm saying I'm looking at how they are different, no longer the same. Okay, and you can notice my unequal sign right there in the middle of both of them. So let's go ahead and look at some of the vocabulary words that we use when we're writing or speaking to compare and contrast, and what we can actually look for when we're reading about comparing and contrasting. Okay, so here we have although, however, differ, unlike, even though, yet, but, instead, on the other hand, whereas, while. Right? Okay. We're going to go ahead and look at the same passage again. And it is about, yes, cats and dogs. And now we're going to be looking for their differences, okay? So we're going to contrast, or this specific paragraph is contrasting dogs and cats. So I'm going to give you a moment to just read it, and go ahead and circle the clue words that will tell you how the cats and dogs are different. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you a couple of minutes for that. And when you're ready, Francis, come back to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and read it and look for them at the same time. Okay, let's go ahead and do this together. Although these similarities exist, there are many ways in which dogs and cats are different. One difference between the two is their ability to be trained. Dogs tend to be trained to do tricks much quicker and much easy than cats. Yeah, that's good job. Another difference is that dogs typically like to be pet and cuddled, and cats are a more independent animal. That's right, difference right there again. Typically, cats do not like to be cuddled and prefer to be left alone. Dogs, however, yeah, cuddle easily and frequently. Finally, a major difference between cats and dogs is the sounds that they each produce. A dog will growl, bark, whimper, and woof, while a cat meows, purrs, and hisses. Okay, very nice. So you see, our author, our writer, used these clue words to write his or her, I forgot if it was a girl or a boy, a paragraph or essay. Actually, it was just two paragraphs. Um, you know, pointing out, comparing and contrasting cats and dogs. Um, okay, so friend, this brings us to our next section, which is the Venn diagram. Remember that I have mentioned that we're going to use a Venn diagram, which is a really easy way for us to visualize comparing and contrasting. Okay, so it is just two circles that come together just like this. So in the center where the circles meet or overlap, we point out the similarity. So that's why we put the things that we compare, how they're the same, because here both circles overlap each other, right? And then on the outer part of the circle, we name the differences. So using our passage, we can say that both cats and dogs provide friendship, and we can say that they both like napping. They like to sleep during the day. And lastly, or the last thing that I wrote here is that they're similar because they have similar body parts, right? They have they both cats and dogs have tails, four legs, and so on and so forth. Okay, so looking at the differences, remember we use the auto circles to write the differences, right? So I can say that cats are not trainable or they're very hard to train. I can say that they're independent and they make different sounds. So you see here on the other side of this part of the circle, on the left side, I only put the characteristics of cats, things that are totally different from the characteristics of dogs, which on the other hand, dogs are trainable. Yes, and they also like to cuddle. And unlike cats, they whimper or bark or growl, right? So you notice the Venn diagram is a great visual tool to compare and contrast. either when we are writing or observing or reading. It doesn't matter. We can use it. It's really good for comparing and contrasting. A very easy way to compare and contrast. Friends, this brings us back to our initial activity. Remember, what did you write for these two cuties? Yeah, that would be one of them. They're cute, they're baby animals, pets. Now the dog is bigger, right? The cat has small ears and small tail, little legs. Yes. So you see, if I was going to make a Venn diagram just by observing this photo, I can write so many things where they're the same or similar and how they are also different, right? And friends, this brings us to our individual practice. So what I have for you today is a passage or an activity that I borrow from education.com. Yes, I'm a member. And I just want you to go ahead and read these two passages, okay? And then I would like you to use a Venn diagram to compare and contrast these two animals. Okay? So when you are done, please remember to upload it back to either Canvas or Google Classroom so that we can take a look at it. And with that, I want to say thank you for joining me one more time. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.